Hey guys, welcome to Meta List, a series where I hope to show you deck lists that I think are meta viable in the Master Duel format as of currently. The deck that I brought for you today is, in my opinion, as well as from what we've seen historically, the best deck in the format, hands down. There's an argument for Sword Soul, but okay. So the idea of this deck is to set up a couple very unique interactions that are really difficult to play around because not a lot of decks are really able to do so, like a non-targeting banishes, potential sets, fusion summons into like burn monsters, fusion summons into like attack decreasing creatures during the damage step, searching monster negates into the hand. There's a lot of different things you can do. So we're gonna go ahead and start off with the main deck as we normally do. I've debated on like going from like the extra deck or the main deck, but we're gonna start with the main. We're gonna be cycling in between the two because they play really closely to each other in like how they interact. So hand traps, you know the list: 2, 3, 3, 2. You can run Nib, you can run more. Just depends what you're running against. The best 3-4 decks in the format right now are probably Sword Soul, this deck, and then I'm currently recording this pre-ban list, but after the ban list, this deck will be dead. So it's the Aurora Dawn Hawk-Loop deck. And so, you know, just run whatever you can to help deal with what you're currently going against. Comedy's nice. It's a monster negate. You can just discard this card and negate effects. Or, yeah, is it a monster negate? Oh no, it's a targeted negate. I apologize. There's a monster negate in Courier. That's the one I was thinking of. This card, if you target a Decimate monster, if they have this card in hand, you can just send it. This card is searchable, so you can always just have it in hand if you need it. It's okay. I personally don't run it, so we're going to take it out now. 2 Tragedy, a great send off of Branded, get you your Luber to go into like a Branded in red. You can also send like a Snow. You can send the Edge of Chain. You can send a lot of different things that really let you cycle into other stuff. We've got the Adventure Package. It's the one I think I personally prefer, but that's just the one I prefer. Post ban list, I probably will be switching out of the Adventure line, so taking out both Enchantresses, or the single Enchantress now, the Rite of Aramasir, the Wonderful Rider, and maybe the Foolish Burial, even though the Foolish Burial still works really well in this deck. Edge of Chain is the like Frightfur patchwork package, where this card, so the idea would be starting with the Edge of Chain, discarding it for like your the Lubellion effect or something else, adding a Frightfur patchwork, and then activating it, getting a Poly and another chain in hand, just give you more options. It's a really lucrative package. Snow is an option. I don't run it just because I don't have it. We're gonna go ahead and toss that. We got the Luber, searches out your Branded Fusion, searches out any spell card. Really important card for this deck. Your Mercurier is a monster negate that is also searchable off of the Brigand Glory Dragon. You can send the Brigand Glory Dragon at the end of the turn, add a Mercurier to hand, and then you can just have a monster negate at any point, which is really nice. I don't run it because, again, it's a UR and it's not something I'm personally always going to be dealing with. Drumturge of Despia is really nice because it's a on-field negate, I believe. Yeah, it's an on-field negate, 3k beater, really solid. I personally don't run it though. We've got Albion the Shroud Dragon, same thing. It's like more of like a consistency booster, because you can send your like Branded Fusion, you can send your Branded Opening for protection, things of that nature. And then when you do, you can place this card on the bottom of your deck and then draw one. It's just like a nice way to set up a protection for any of your fusions on the board. Again, I personally don't run this card though. Ad libitum is something I do run though, which is it lets you cycle out your fusions from your banished or grave zones. Like if they out your Ice Jade, you can Branded fusion your ad libitum. No, Branded fusion. You can Branded in red your ad libitum and something else, and then you'll get your Ice Jade back as well, or your Mirror Jade back as well, which is really nice. Double Poly for the Frightwork package, Foolish Burial for the Adventure package. We're gonna go ahead and take out the Chain package just because it's not something that I think we're going to be running. And back in the Sorry, I'm tired. I have COVID at the moment, so like I'm very drained. Despia Theater lets you fusion summon. That's the main effect we'll be using it for. Sometimes you'll get the effect of like the non-fusion fairy monster being popped, but it is. Branded Lost is nice. So it says, I'll just read this card for you. The activation of your cards and effects that include an effect that's fusion summons a fusion monster cannot be negated. Also, your opponent cannot activate cards or effects when a monster is fusion summoned this way. So it's just like into like your card from like Ash Blossom or like any negates or things like that. If you fusion summon monster, if you fusion summon a fusion monster, you can add one Fallen Albeds or one monster that mentions it from your deck to your hand. Again, just more like consistency stuff. It's not horrible. I just don't run it because it's UR. It's not something I can really afford. Fusion Super Poly is mandatory. This deck plays so well into it, and it's if you're not running it against the opposing like the Despia deck, you're gonna fall really far behind because it's a really great equalizer. Double Called By, a cross out, same reason. That's our 41st card. We run it because it's nice to pretty much guarantee that your branded fusion goes off. So it's our third copy of Called By basically. It's also really good in the mirror because you can send a Luber if they're going to like be a Lubering on like going second, which is really nice. Branded Opening is like protection as well as get your Luber out. You're usually searching for branded in red after you go through the Mirror Jade line, just because it lets you get some interaction going on their next turn. Anything from like a Chimera to like a Dracostapelia, Masquerade even. I really like going into Masquerade a lot. Masquerade's really fun. I just love sitting back and watching my opponent break themselves, essentially. Here in the Fusion deck, we have some Fusion Poly targets. Prepent Dracostapelia is also a Fusion Poly target. Even though this is also a card that we can just make in engine with a single Branded Fusion for Albion into Dracostapelia, but we're normally going to be going into our boss monster, which is Mirror J, which is an insane card. The fact that it's not targeting Banish, as well as it's I think it's Ab-Zero in the hero archetype. It's crazy. We got Quiritis, really good card for like closing out games against non-fusion decks. So anything that you're not, like if you're going against Sword Soul or anything like that, you summon out Quiritis, you activate the effect, all their monsters 0, and you kind of just beat over it, and you have an unbeatable board most of the time. We play Proskenian because it's really good against the Mirror and really good against Sword Soul. Getting out those monsters super solid. I don't think there's anything else like super crazy. So this is the deck that we're going to be running, and we're going to essentially try and show you guys why it's so good. Okay, so our goal is to take this deck and hopefully play it and show you guys how it works, and then we'll go over the strengths and the weaknesses afterwards. Going second should theoretically be fine as long as we draw like a hand trap. Hopefully it's not like... Hopefully it's a board that we can realistically negate. I've gone against opponents where one hand trap really isn't enough to stop them from doing a full combo that kind of stops you from anything you really wanted to do. This hand's one of the hands of all time. It is certainly a hand that we have here. Yeah. Let's see what they're on. I think what they're on is Super Poly, though, could go in. Okay. Interesting. Starting off with an El Shaddai Fusion. Yeah. I like the artwork on this card a lot. This is one of the Deteriorator monsters, I believe. Or is it... I don't know, there's a lot of, like, plant-esque archetypes. Is it that, like, the regular Winda? I know the lore kind of, sort of, a little bit. I know these guys want to destroy, like, the World Tree kind of vibe. Bro's taking a hot minute for his turn. So we're going to continue butchering the lore. I think these guys want to like destroy the world tree, and I know that the Cleaforts come in at some point, and they start kind of fucking shit up. So that's, you know, that's the thing. Descend. Wendy and Squamata. Cologne. Squamata gets his effect. I don't think Wendy does anything besides banishing monsters. Yeah. And Cologne also gets his effect where you. Oh. For some reason I thought Cologne searched. Sorry, I don't know if I've said this or not. My brain's fried. I have COVID at the moment, so I'm just kind of like coasting. It's also so fucking hot. I turned my fan on, but I don't want to go through the effort of editing audio right now. So I'm kind of just coasting. Oh, so it does get an effect. I fucking knew it did. Alright, what the fuck? Oh, is it just... Did it negate it? Wait. What? It negated itself? I mean, I guess. I have no clue why it did that. Sending Wendy, the curse is blue. Oh, we're just gonna... Nah, you can not do that. I don't know what this monster is originally. Like Apcalon, like Wendy is like the Wind Charmer. The Construct is like the Gem Knight Lady. Okay, this hand's a bit better now. Well, you know, we have a lot of outs, a lot of cards that kind of just do it for us. A lot of options. A lot of options. Okay, for sure. Let me read this card through again, because I don't think it does anything for us. Oh, so we're just gonna pass. We could have been hitting him in the face, but I really want to show off the deck itself and not just the adventure engine being good. So we're just gonna vibe for a bit. Okay. And I'll do it technically. This guy. Make Albion effects. I think Ice Shade is super good, super hot, super sexy. I call it Ice Jade. Don't know why. We could go into like a Verte to make that, but there's no point. If we had Link Spider still in our extra deck, we could make a Verte from this point and then go into that, but there's no real need. Kind of the gist of the archetype here. Yeah. Should he try to do anything, we do have a way to get some value now by sending like an Albion, by sending some of our monsters that'll get us some good stuff. Primarily just the Albion. If we were playing the Makura, we'd send the Brigand too, but it's not really necessary. I think we just vibe. Okay, well, you know, we were punished immediately. We were punished immediately without any recompense whatsoever. You know, a better player would have had to read that it was a Stewart Poly. I'm not a better player, so, you know, it's rough out here. God. You can make, I think it's window. I think Conch requires a dark. I'm not sure what Squamata is supposed to be either. Like, is it supposed to be like Kage Kokage? Kage Tokage? Where the fuck that Shadow Lizard is? At least I'm assuming all like the Shadows are like that. Wow. Yep, we still do get the Mirror Jade effect though. He has cleared both of our monsters this turn. Squamata effect gets you Sen, and this card is Sen, you can target one spell. Do this, he negates it. Might as well get the negate out of the way. Yeah, this Mirror Jade is broken. The fact that his board, no matter what he does now, is going to be popped unless they can't be destroyed by card effects. Kind of insane. Let me get our Mirror Jade back now. We won't do anything with that yet. Is he gonna make App Clone or Construct? Twinda. Yeah, we'll Mirror Jade this. You can special summon a monster in face down defense position, which doesn't really matter. We're gonna have a lot of stuff to yeah. Even though we had a somewhat breaking hands, there's nothing they could really do. Mirror Jade is a house by itself. Making them go into Winda, because, you know, will pop no matter what monster they send aside from that. And then also the fact that our adventure line makes a fairy with the token means that they out the token with the field spell up, we can just get whatever fusion monster we want back. Being the Mirror Jade, with the Mirror Jade back, we can out almost any monster, as well as have follow up for next turn by sending like something like an Albion. This deck itself is really, really good. I think the fact that it has so much recursion, it has really unique outs that a lot of decks in the format can't, like a lot of cards that just can't deal with it, like non-targeting banishing effects, and a plethora of like negates and ways to search those negates. In archetype, it plays really well with the adventure engine, it plays really well with the Fright Fur package. There's a lot of different ways you can go into it. There's a lot of different tech cards, and it shows a lot of like player skill. Like, these are huge strengths that go into the deck. Like, my cons to this deck are, it's so oppressive. I feel like if maybe it was just a little bit weaker, it would be more manageable in the format. Two, is the fact that sometimes this deck has a really hard time dealing with floodgates, but a lot of decks have a hard time dealing with floodgates. So again, but you can tech this deck out to deal with said floodgates with Cosmics, Lightnings, and Harpies, Feather Duster. So you have options of how to deal with it. Just keep that in mind. As well as this deck has a very significant weakness to Super Poly and Fallen of Albaz. As funny as that is, this deck has a really hard time in the mirror. It's a very skill expressive mirror because you're going to be trading fusions back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And that's something you get to kind of like be cognizant of and play around. But overall, this is probably the best deck you can be making in the format. It's really fucking pricey though. It's sorry. It costs so much. But you're probably gonna be happy with it for the next like format or two. Like, even when the tier stuff comes out, you could still play like branded tier and probably be okay with it. It won't be as good, mind you, but still really, really good. You could probably take out a couple of, like, the ultra rares. Like, other than the hand traps, I think the hand traps are pretty much mandatory. I think you should make those first and foremost, and then make like a really cheap deck. I haven't yet, but like cross out really good, and called by also same. To make this deck, the only ultras that I guess you really need are 3 branded fusions, at least 1 of Lubellion and Albion, and at least 1 Mirror. Everything else makes the package come together really nicely. I wouldn't play the deck if you only had those and you worked your way from there. We're not even going into supers, because supers are also really expensive, but this deck doesn't have a copious amount of those. It's mainly that nice rainbow coloring that you're going to be seeing that's causing so much. Ugh. This deck has an insane amount of supers, an insane amount of ultras. But that's just the way the cookie crumbles sometimes, you know? It is what it is. I think almost every ultra in here, in the extra deck, is almost mandatory, as funny as that is. It's the supers and the rares that actually aren't mandatory. Like this, the Brigand doesn't do anything in my deck. It was just there because I have it. And it does let me search for a Fallen of Albaz. Like, that's it. Doesn't really do much aside from that. But yeah, I don't know. Format's expensive these days. I don't know what to tell you, kids.